Hello, everybody. You've tuned in to the Indiana State Police Roadshow, brought to you by the Indiana State Police Alliance. Cops for Kids, a subsidiary of the Indiana State Police Alliance. I'm your host, Sergeant Rich Myers, with the Indiana State Police Public Information Office, and I have with me today El Conquistador slash Battalion Chief.
Yes.
Rita Reith, thank you. Thank you very much.
Well, actually, let me correct you. It's Rita Wright, but that's okay.
I did say Reith.
You did.
It's
But that's okay. It's spelled Reith. It looks like Reith, but it is pronounced right.
I always pronounce it wrong.
That's
when
all
I
right.
say that.
That's all right. At
Let's
least you
start over
upgraded
again.
me to El Conquistador, so that works. That's all right.
That's going to be your next promotion.
I
El
know,
Conquistador.
right? I'm going to go get a badge that says that.
Battalion Chief IFD, thank you for being here today.
Well, thanks for having me.
I appreciate you coming in here on such short notice when I called you, but it's something interesting we're going to talk about because it's something very serious that we need to take a look into. It's next week is Fire Prevention Week.
Absolutely, yes. It's annually the first full week in October every year, and the NFPA typically picks a theme every year, and fire departments all across the country outreach to their communities and promote the opportunity for safe homes, safe businesses. This year's theme is Look, Listen, and Learn. Okay. Fire can happen anywhere.
So our look, listen, and learn, what are the three factors you're looking at there when you're talking about look, listen, and learn? Just
to be aware that, fires don't always... Fires occur anywhere. They can occur in an electrical cord buried underneath the carpet, which we message about all the time. They can occur in, a garage with a pile of oily rags. They can occur in the typical spots that you think, food on the stove or an improperly discarded cigarette. But there's always opportunity for the hidden spaces, the electrical outlets, the wiring in your attic if it hasn't been maintained or checked in a while. Things that we just want to encourage people to be more proactive about looking in those hidden spaces and being aware that fire really can occur at any time in any place.
And to listen for that, what does that mean by that? To listen to the message you guys are sending out?
Absolutely. We'd love if we didn't have to, if we could have one day where we didn't have to message it, but really every day is Fire Prevention Day. Every month is Fire Prevention Month, and every week is Fire Prevention Week. So the messaging is really no different than the messaging we did 5 years ago, 10 years ago. It's just a constant reminder that fire can happen to anyone. It doesn't discriminate. It happens to people of all economic backgrounds. It's something that everybody needs to be aware of. They need to have a plan. They need to be proactive about keeping their family safe. And we have all kinds of products, tools, tips, messaging, information, and people to help you make your home a safer place.
And I know that, and the firefighting, and this is kind of off of the questions that you got here, but the firefighting that you guys do nowadays has evolved so much from years past. I know this was many years ago when I was a volunteer firefighter in our county. A car fire was pretty much your turnout gear and fire with a hose. But there's so much stuff in cars even more. You guys are pretty much in your SCBAs even on that, aren't you?
Absolutely. The plastics that are burning these days and the product in general that's burning inside homes, the furniture, the building materials, all of that stuff is so carcinogenic that, it's almost impossible to fight a fire without the risk of getting a long-term injury after the fact. So, firefighters are trained now that if you're going into a food on the stove, even that kind of something that simple, put your mask on. There just is no reason to take a chance. We can't possibly identify all of the hazards that are going to happen or all of the types of toxic materials that are going to burn in the middle of a fire. So it's just, kind of a common put your mask on if you're going in.
Yeah. I've noticed that on the car fires that I've seen the guys doing anymore out there and the dangers of the airbags and batteries.
Well, and the airbags that's a whole nother show. But the airbags, there's so many airbags anymore on cars because they've got them on the side windows, they've got them in the front, they've got them in the rear. So it's a constant process for firefighters to be educated and trained on all of the different products that are coming out, whether it's in a car or a car seat, whether it's in a home. We just have to be mindful and educated and trained on every possible scenario, and it's a constant battle to keep pace with the evolution of the way products are coming out. I mean, there's so much good technology out there, and there's so much so many products that are making our lives easier, but it's also making it a more dangerous environment, I think, for people, firefighters and police officers as well, because police officers oftentimes are the first to the scene for a car wreck, and they can be injured by an airbag deployment as well. So it's just, there's a lot of information that we are trying to retain, and we appreciate the support from the community and helping us. By them being proactive, it helps us stay safer.
That's got to change your strategy, I'm sure, too, on extrication procedures with the airbags in the doors.
It sure does.
Everywhere.
And the electric cars.
Yeah.
So again, it's all things that we are constantly training on, and you have to make sure that not only are firefighters being trained, but they're being trained on the latest, greatest. When the electric cars came to Indianapolis, we partnered up with the companies and had training on the batteries, what you can cut, what you can't cut, because if you cut the wrong thing, it can kill that person almost immediately because of the energy coming through that battery. So but the airbags are, we're a little more used to them, but even still the cars are coming out, they're trying to be proactively safer for the consumer. But again, it's a training and education issue for all of us responding.
Well, again, you're listening to the Indiana State Police Roadshow, brought to you by the Indiana State Police Alliance. Rita Wright with the IFD Battalion Chief with Indianapolis Fire Department.
Not El Conquistador anymore. I like that title better.
You'll be that shortly.
I know,
want to
right?
mention, too, Tom Trials putting us out here. I forgot to talk about Tom.
I know. Tom's great.
Tom does a wonderful job on this, doesn't he?
He does a wonderful job for you guys.
And he's putting us on YouTube, so make sure that you go to the YouTube site and watch the films that Tom puts there on our YouTube channel for the Indiana State Police too. So, but let's get back to our firefighting, kind of what we're talking about here. And there's something that you guys are doing that's a grand reopening of something that you have before. Apparently, you've done a lot of work with that.
We are pretty excited. We have what's called the Indianapolis Fire Department, along with Local 416, which represents over 3,000 firefighters and EMS professionals in Marion County. We have something called the Firefighter Survival Life Village, located inside the Union Hall at 748 Mass Avenue. It's been around since 1996, but it has been closed for about 2 years due to some remodels, some upgrading of materials and equipment inside the village, with a large donation from the outset from Ortho Indy, and it's finally reopening at the end of the month, at the end of October. So it educates from kindergarten till about 4th grade. That's kind of the demographic that they like to bring through the village.
Okay.
And we do have some adults that like to come through the village as well, but it's the grand reopening. It's October 26th at 4:30 on a Friday night. It's open to the public. It's free. Everybody's invited to come and check it out. One of the partnerships that was super important was we got some art teachers from the south side of Indianapolis and the Southport and Perry schools to come and decorate the village. They use their mural artistry to decorate the village, and it's going to be a big deal. We're pretty excited about it. It's been a long time coming, and the upgrades are awesome.
So
already had the mayor through.
Is this an educational thing, so schools are able to schedule with you to come through there?
Yep, they sure can. They can call 317-327-6707 to make an appointment, and they can bring their classes through, and they will learn things like learning how to escape a burning home. So how to safely exit a window, how to stop, drop, and roll, how to utilize kitchen appliances properly, things not to touch, like water heaters and transformers, and places not to go. So it's a very comprehensive. There's some weather emergency tips in there, but it's a very comprehensive, interactive experience for the kids, and they learn a lot. And you would be surprised at how many of the kids that have gone through will go home. They'll explain it to their parents. They'll say, "Hey, Mom and Dad, we need a plan. We need a working smoke alarm." All of these things that they will learn during their time at the village, and then we've had some that have had fires in their own homes and then say, "Hey, well, my son or daughter learned this at the Survival Life Village." So it's a county-wide, comprehensive educational experience, and we are super excited that it's getting ready to reopen.
Can Boy Scout groups, Girl Scout, Boys Clubs?
Absolutely, yeah. Now, again, it's really up to about 4th grade, but we know maybe Daisy group, is that young? I'm not really sure at the age where that is, but absolutely, they're more than welcome to call. And if Survive Alive is not the program for them, then just about any fire department in Marion County will offer for a station tour, that, we get a lot of Boy Scout, Girl Scout troops that come through, and they'd rather go to the station and get safety tips that way. They can teach a lot of the same safety tips there as well.
Probably even Mike Pruitt would do that if you asked him.
I don't know if he would or not. He's awfully busy.
Yeah,
I mean,
he's
he's got a lot going on.
saving
Yeah.
lives and
Yeah.
cats
I don't
and
know if he
things, and
personally will,
gets them out of
take part in
trees.
that. Right. Exactly. Yeah.
He's a pretty busy man. We don't let anybody know.
His personal cell phone number, though, however, is 317.
Well, we're getting down to time, but I want to talk about something that probably the most important thing you guys push and you should push is a smoke detector.
Absolutely. That's your first line of defense, a working safety plan within your home and a working smoke alarm. And those two things are easy to accomplish. It encourages fire safety talk within your own family, and smoke alarms are proven to help save lives. So
now there used to be a difference, and I don't know if there is anymore. Maybe they're all together between a heat detector and a smoke
one
detector.
that we recommend.
I know.
Yeah, I know. It's a first alert, it's a KITA first alert. I'm sorry, not first alert. It's a KITA 10-year sealed battery smoke alarm. And so this is one example. First Alert has their own product, but it is one example of a smoke alarm that we recommend. It's got a 10-year sealed battery in it, and that means that nobody can take the battery out to use in another device. And that's the most important thing, is to not only have the working smoke alarm, but to have that smoke alarm installed properly and operable at all times.
And it has a light on it, so when it goes off, you're going to it's going to light up.
Yes.
Very good. And then, is there a difference between a heat detector anymore and a smoke detector, or?
Well, there may be some. Most of them are both ionization and photoelectric, and so it just depends on what you are looking for. But some of them are combination smoke alarm as well as carbon monoxide, which is another area that, especially with the holidays and a lot of windows being closed, cooking indoors, we want to make sure that people have that dual capability to monitor both.
If somebody would like one, they don't have the capability or the means to get one or something, is there a program that they can get a hold of you folks at?
There is. You can call 317-327-6093. IFD does have a partnership with State Farm and the Red Cross, where we will come out and install a smoke alarm in your home if you need one. We have these. You may see these cards in and around town where you can fill this out as well, or you can. This will give you more information about where to pick one up. The biggest thing that we were finding, though, is people are picking up the smoke alarm and then they're not actually installing them. Right. We've been to houses that have been on fire, and we find a smoke alarm that we've given out sitting on the kitchen table, and that just does not help anybody. So we started this partnership with Red Cross and State Farm, as do other agencies in the county, it actually going into people's homes and installing them for them. We want to have one on every floor, and you want to have one in every bedroom, ideally. Understandably, that may seem like a lot of smoke alarms in everybody's home, but we encourage you to keep those bedroom doors shut at night. Right. So the smoke alarm being inside the bedroom is vitally important.
And then feel that door.
Absolutely. Feel the door before you, yes, absolutely.
Before you go out.
No two ways out of your room.
Yeah, exactly. One last thing before we get out of here, fire extinguishers. Is there a difference between the type of fire extinguisher, what you're fighting?
There are, but the kind that I've got here today is more of a kitchen-style fire extinguisher, and this is a good idea, especially as we go into the holidays again. Yep. It's not too late to start preparing your home for the holidays, preparing it for the winter. One of the things we see, especially around Thanksgiving, is a lot of turkey fryer usage and people cooking a lot of different products on their stove. Having a fire extinguisher nearby is never a bad idea. They're not very expensive, and they can be your first line of defense in putting out a small fire. But we do encourage you also to have, simple things like a lid for the pot. So if you are cooking with grease, have a lid nearby, and make sure that you stand with the food that you're cooking. Make sure that you monitor it the whole time. You heat your grease slowly and have a lid nearby in case it does flare, because it, just like a lot of other things in the world, in your home, it's unpredictable, and it can spatter just like a candle can splatter, and things like that. But we just want to make sure that you are not only consciously aware of what's happening in your home, but that you're monitoring it actively. So don't light candles and leave the room. Don't put food on the stove and leave the room. Actually stick with it. Spend the 20 minutes it takes to cook the meal. Turn your oven off, turn your stove off, and enjoy the meal with your family.
Great. Well, Rita, we're down to our last 20 seconds here, so thank you very much for coming in.
Well, thanks for having me.
Here.
So I can spend the whole 20 seconds talking about how great you are.
I will let you do that. Again, you've been listening to the Indiana State Police Roadshow, brought to you by the Indiana State Police Alliance, Cops for Kids, subsidiary of the Indiana State Police Alliance. Reed Wright, IFD El Conquistador Battalion Chief. Thank you for being, El.
Thanks, Rich.
We'll talk to you later. Roadshow is out.